business is hard. And there are some truths that are better understood so that you can actually be aware of them and deal with them rather than just being naive to the fact that they even exist. And in this video, I want to talk to new clothing brand owners and share 4 blunt truths about the industry that being aware of this stuff, even though it's hard to accept, even though it's hard to be aware of, will give you an advantage because it's going to allow you to actually adapt and overcome these harsh realities of the world. So I hope you enjoy. Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at BrandCrowd. BrandCrowd's a logo maker tool. You type in the name of the logo that you want to have made, hit enter, thousands of logos will come up. You choose the logo that you like, then you can edit and refine that logo as long as you want for free until it's perfect. This is a Hundo P design I had made for my own clothing brand using BrandCrowd. If you're interested, head over to brandcrowd.com/apparel success and you can get 66% off at checkout. The first blunt truth that I want to share with you is something that so many first-time clothing brand owners are completely naive of, which is that the apparel industry and creating a successful clothing brand is perhaps the single hardest business industry to succeed in, aside from maybe music and creating literal art like paintings. The reason for this is because a clothing brand is a creative business. You're not selling something that people need, you're selling something that people want to enjoy aesthetically and to sort of appreciate. And creating something like that requires such a high level of talent and a high level of skill set to put together. And so what you have are a lot of people that start up clothing brands that have no idea about this, and they think that just based on their little idea that they have, their clothing brand is going to succeed and just take off right off the bat. And, I have probably maybe 12 friends that have tried starting up clothing brands that literally give up within the first month or two. And I think that the reason why this happens is because right after they launch their brand, they hit a wall and they realize that they have to stock inventory and they have to manage it, and then they have to learn how to market, and there's all of these little details that go into it on top of actually creating a product that's aesthetically pleasing or that's connecting emotionally. And it really requires a creative brand owner to pull this off and to make this work. And on top of all of that, the barrier to entry in this industry is so low. Anybody can start up a clothing brand by simply designing a logo and putting it on some t-shirts and trying to sell it. And so there's so much competition similar to the music industry, which just makes it such an incredibly hard industry to succeed in. And knowing that will equip you with hopefully a level of motivation and intensity and commitment that you attack this with to take it seriously, so that it's not something that you're just doing like, oh, this will blow up and I'll become a millionaire. But you're doing it in a way that's realistic, where you're really thinking about the value that you're providing and you're finding all the little nuances in your brand to master. So the second harsh truth here is clothing brand owners that don't have the skill set, the talent, and the longevity to be willing to master all of this stuff and commit to it and learn every little nuance of the business, they get weeded out pretty quickly. And nothing will really work out for them because you really have to take this seriously in order to really reach a level of success with this. Even though the barrier to entry is low for starting, the barrier to success is really high because there's so much competition and it's actually a very challenging business to succeed in. There's something known as percentile. And percentile is basically like your ranking out of 100. And if you do personality tests, it ranks you on percentile. So maybe you'll be the 99th percentile in industrious. And that would mean that a room of 100 people, there's only one other person that's more industrious than you are. And in order to succeed as a clothing brand owner, you have to rank pretty high in percentile in a whole bunch of different categories, like being open, being creative, being skilled in these areas. You have to be a certain percentile and certain rank amongst all the other clothing brands in order for you to succeed. So you might be thinking, dude, relax, it's all good, it's just a clothing brand. Whether or not you like this or not to hear this, this is the reality that you're going to face regardless. This is the reality of the industry. So I'd rather prepare you for it and have you aware of this so that you can, overcome it and know what you're going up against and know what you're facing, rather than just sort of being naive to it and think that everything's just going to work out right after you launch and that everything's going to be super simple. The third blunt truth about starting a clothing brand is that most clothing brands that start up are complete trash, and they don't have any real value to their brand whatsoever when they first start. Their own perception of their brand is delusional in thinking that people are going to see the same value that the clothing brand owner sees in their brand, which they won't, because the clothing brand owner has biased thinking towards their own success and towards wanting to be successful. So a lot of clothing brands launch with this crazy excitement, deep belief in their brand that's unwavering from the beginning, without being humble enough to recognize that they really need to build value into their brand, and they really need to create something that people want and that's connecting with people, and that it's their responsibility as the clothing brand owner to do that. And people aren't just going to buy things because you've created it. They're going to buy things because they want to buy it truly. And doing that is a hard task. And, I'm humble enough to tell you that, because in my first couple of years growing my own brand, my brand was trash and nobody was buying it because I hadn't really locked in on this stuff from the beginning phase to begin with. So this is something that I learned through firsthand experience, having to make big changes inside of my own clothing brand and also step outside of my comfort zone in a huge way in order to land celebrity and influencer and endorsements, and in order to network right, and in order to build a following and do all of the things that create value for your brand. It's not as simple as just putting out a generic t-shirt and getting sales from an Instagram account that has no following to begin with. The fourth blunt truth is that there's going to be areas of your clothing brand where you're going to have to invest some money that won't exactly give you the payout that you were hoping for. And this is something that you're just going to have to deal with and let go of and continue to adapt and grow. And some examples of this would be inventory that you invest in products that just don't really do as well as you may have thought they would. And you just kind of have to put those at a discount, sell through them, or just get rid of them so that you can launch some more stuff and try again. And the same thing can be said about spending money on advertising. There's going to be a lot of money that you spend on advertising that just doesn't bring back the return that you want. And you have to invest in ads up front in order to see the results come later. And a lot of the investments that I made in ads as I was learning them, and even to this day, sometimes you put out an ad and it just doesn't do as well and it's not as effective as other ads. And that's why testing comes into play. And testing, unfortunately, a part of testing is just that you will probably lose some money along the way, testing ads that just weren't working, and you had to put money into those ads to see if they would work for you. So, I think that being really connected to this idea of every penny having to bring back like a perfect return is sort of this ideal reality that we want to live in with our clothing brands, but there's going to be some mistakes along the way, and we're likely going to have to spend some money that doesn't bring back a solid return in order to get to the point where things are really rolling for us. So look, my intention is solely to help you grow a successful clothing brand, and I don't want you to click off this video being discouraged, being less motivated, being not as excited to work on your brand. The point of this video is to get you mentally aware and in the most accurate headspace to tackle this industry in the most effective way and to understand exactly what you're truly getting into. And so this was sort of a bit of a red pill for you to see behind the curtain, rather than sort of just going forward with this sort of like, I see a lot of clothing brands that have like this delusion about what it's all about and their success. And the reason why they're not getting results is because I don't think that they're fully aware of what they're doing and the industry that they're in. So I really hope that this helps you navigate the space better and helps you get better results. If you got a lot of value out of this, please hit the like button for me. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you haven't already, check out my free clothing brand marketing masterclass. All you have to do to get access is go to apparelsuccess.com/masterclass. You can watch the whole thing for free, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.